welcome back to Long Island's number one pro wrestler broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh, only seen here out of Indie Music Studios, straight out of Long Island. At the board, the Abe Meister. Babe, how are you, baby?
Brother? How you doing?
Listen, before we bring the Pharaoh in, who's here anyway, I'm not saying he's not in, but we'll talk about it a little later in the show, but this is our last live broadcast out of the great Indie Music Studios. How you feeling, Abe?
You know, it's the end of an era. It was really nice working here, and you know, it's just a little sudden, but we'll get back on our feet, and yeah, I mean, it was a good time.
It was a good time. Jimmy, glad to see you again, my friend. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Well, maybe I'm not so good. I finally got sick, man, but I feel all right. But I finally got some sort of bug after being here about a half a year, so that wasn't fun. Still trying to get out of that. But other than that, I'm great.
What did you catch? Like the flu? Like what was going on?
Well, what happened is that Coach over from ESPN, who I work with during my day job, he started like hacking and wheezing and it's a pretty close quarters over there. And I thought to myself after the first few days, well, so far so good. But every time he would be like, God damn it, like, you know, all day. And finally I woke up one morning and started going, God damn it. My God damn it sounds Southern now, Mike. You got to help me, man.
Well,
what is
I'm
going
sure
on
everybody's going to
here?
be excited. Next week up here in New York is the big event, which is that, you know, every 6-month adventure we have going on here, and Jimmy's flying in from Florida. Jimmy, God, how long's it been since you've been in New York, bro?
I haven't been to New York in almost a half a year, so it's going to be right about a half a year since I left. Isn't that crazy, dude?
That is
Time
crazy.
freaking flies, you know. You're not bringing Wiggy Stardust, are you? Wiggy's not going to be there, right?
Wiggy,
I'm
listen.
just checking.
I got to be honest, dude. Wiggy Stardust has dropped off social media like...
Oh, how surprising.
I mean, there was a point where
surprising.
Wiggy Stardust posted like every 2 minutes, and, you know, okay, we both have each other blocked on social media, but there's other ways to look around it. And there ain't nothing going on there at all.
Yeah.
How about, Abe, have you heard
Wiggy-
from Wiggy Stardust at all?
No, she did delete the video that she posted about me, or that had my face in it, so that was pretty cool.
She deleted it.
Yeah, there was a video that she posted that had my like face and my name, and I never contacted her about it because I just, you know, let it lie. And,
Well, let me ask you, did it bother you that Wiggy posted that?
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, she's she used the picture that gets sent with my email. So she took my email picture and posted my name and stuff, and I was like, you know, I didn't do anything.
Wait a minute. Hold on, bro. With all due respect, no one did anything. But you had no involvement with anything. So, yes, I understand.
But it was nice to see it gone. I feel like that's the end of it for me, at least, you know. And no more emails.
You know,
so that's good.
That you brought that up, I'm thinking to myself, maybe she's changed her ways. Maybe she's different. Maybe this whole experience changed her.
I have a theory about why she stopped.
Go ahead.
I think it was the last email that you sent. I don't know if I should say any more, but
Oh yeah. Oh,
I think it was
right.
that. 100%.
You might be right.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jimmy, you broke us into Wiggy Land. I apologize.
Well, you know, real quick, Abe, I'm really sorry that Wiggy wigged out, but what are you expecting? What are you expecting?
Jimmy.
Yeah.
So I'm watching Howard Stern, right? Not watching, but he's on Sirius XM, right? And
Okay.
he has John Cena on. All right, so let me start with this, Jim.
All right.
I don't think I respected any human being more in life at this point than John Cena. The guy just, like, all right, so I was explaining to my wife, and then share me your thoughts, I guess, is I was at the gym, and I'm listening to it, and I'm thinking to myself, man, Monty, you got this short time on this planet. You've got to be a better person. This guy moral fabric and his moral compass is so on. It's amazing.
All right. Well, are you that surprised? I mean, we've talked to John's father, and there seems to be a very solid foundation that it came from. He's never been in trouble, to my knowledge. I'm not really surprised at it. You know, like, look, John Cena, the gimmick, I was never a fan of, but I think you've seen me grow from getting way past just the wrestling gimmick to, like, you know, the guy is obviously a good person. If he's not, then Derek Jeter isn't, okay? And a whole bunch of other athletes that we can actually probably name that are good people. You know, he's one of them. He's special. You know, he's a special guy, and I'm still waiting for his first good movie. But I'm pretty rough. You know, I prefer.
Dude, to be honest with you, he's done some decent movies.
It's not that. It's not that. It's more like the same thing with The Rock. Also, it's just where's your. I don't know. Get like a guy like Tom Hanks. You can name several movies.
Like where's your Forrest
killer.
Gump?
Oh my God, Oscar. Right. Where's anything like that? Where's your Philadelphia? Where's your, you know, whatever you want to call, you know, any gem that he did. I mean, hell, Tom Hanks in Castaway is great. Where is it?
Well,
you know,
again, I don't think you can confuse Tom Hanks for The Rock or John Cena, right? I don't think you transition like that.
But isn't The Rock the biggest star in Hollywood? I mean, look, I understand
being box office doesn't make you a great actor, though, Jimmy, right?
Right. I guess not anymore. Where do you think that really started, though? Because back in the day when we were kids, are you going to tell me that the biggest box office names weren't gooders?
Well, Stallone. I mean, Stallone, Schwarzenegger.
Now, hold on. Sylvester Stallone is a bad actor?
No, not a bad actor, but he's not a great actor. He's
tell
actually
you what,
gotten
though,
better, you know.
You know what? Gotten better may be one thing, but as far as I'm concerned, his performance as Rocky Balboa in 1975's Rocky, yeah, there's your Forrest Gump right there.
Yeah,
I mean, it started with
Jimmy, I kind of think it's like this. It's like Gandolfini as Tony Soprano.
Right. Well, he was born to play that.
You just mentioned Sylvester Stallone as Rocky. I think there's,
now,
Christopher Reeves as Superman. These roles define you.
Here's a good one for you. You can be a huge star and be the man and not be the greatest actor, and here it comes, because I think you'll agree with me. Bill Shatner. William Shatner is a ham bone, but my God, was he born to play Kirk, and then later on he reinvented. How many times does he reinvent, by the way? Hooker was a big show back in the day.
It was a good show, yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Like Shatner's not the greatest actor, so okay. I guess what I'm saying is that they're serviceable. Oh my God, they're serviceable. There you go.
You know, you brought up The Rock. Cena speaks about his matches with The Rock and how he took advantage of the situation with The Rock because he thought he could get away with it and he could get himself over. But then he realized the mistakes he had made, and he apologized to The Rock for it. But he mentioned how professional Dwayne Johnson was, because Dwayne could have said, you know what, I'm just not working with this guy anymore. He's not playing fair. I mean, you saw the documentary where The Rock was reading his script on the wrist, and Cena called him out for it, and I think some things happened during the matches.
Right.
That's what impresses me about Cena. Like, most people don't recognize when they're wrong and say, you know what, I made that mistake, but I'm wrong, and I'm sorry. I think that goes a long way, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what am I going to say? I think everybody's got a degree of stubbornness to them. It doesn't make them, bad people. Well, it depends on how far you want to take your stubbornness, I guess. But it doesn't make you a bad person. That's a special quality. I mean, but John Cena's is like a special quality kind of person, I guess. He seems to have those attributes. Look, I don't think you watched him growing up, but Mr. Rogers was like the template for what a decent human being should be. And you should have remorse if you make a mistake, But come on, how many, not to get biblical, but the prophet from Nazareth said that it's basically like, like it's easier to pass through the eye of a needle than to get into my house.
Right.
That's pretty rough, dude.
No, it is rough.
That's pretty rough. So, the odds are against us that most of us are going to be like John Cena. But isn't it nice to have one? I guess that's why you're telling me all these things. Isn't it nice to have somebody like John Cena
Well,
so we can reflect on our own deal?
here's the one thing that really hit home, Jimmy, and I think you could really take this with you. He was talking
Yeah.
about his relationship with his father and his mother. And his father was a big wrestling fan. And John explains as a kid, he got his butt kicked all the time in school and he started working out. And his father wanted to be a professional wrestler really bad and forced John to watch professional wrestling. He also claims he never took any steroids. I don't know how possible that is, but we'll take him at his word because he seems pretty honest about everything else. So maybe he's just naturally
All right.
huge like that.
I would say that's as in impossible, but go ahead.
And then he talks about he had this his father never gave him that attaboy, attaboy, like, I love you, John.
All right.
And
Okay.
he did all this stuff kind of just to get his father's recognition. Not completely, but here's the thing. And now I see it because, look, we're big fans of John Cena Sr. Great guy.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
when I used to watch John Cena Sr. on Boston Wrestling, he never used to talk well about his son. And I don't mean he talked bad about him, but he never gave him any props. And I thought it was very weird. And when we had him on a couple of weeks ago, we finally got him to say, my son should be on the Mount Rushmore. And I think at that point during that interview with us, because I always thought about it, but that interview, I said, they must have had problems growing up. And listening to the Stern interview, I realize they had problems. Do you think
It's interesting.
having a poor relationship with your dad, when I mean poor, is when your dad drives you, that's where these winners come from?
Yeah, I think that. Well, okay. Wow, this is kind of deep, man. All right, there is nothing more. At least I believe so. That a child wants than the love and approval from their parent, father or mother. Okay. I will say that it can really drive you to succeed or to at least be the absolute best at what you think your talents are as the child. Okay? You go for it. You take chances. You do things other people wouldn't do. You box. And trust me, John had to do a lot of probably pretty out there things to make sure he made it in the business. I'm sure his schedule was not exactly normal when he was trying to make it before he made it. And then afterwards, I'm sure the schedule was insane too. So I don't think there's anything more that you want than its approval. If there was any kind of friction between the two of them over the years, I'm not surprised that, something, they keep it separate. I don't know if you've noticed that, but John Cena Sr. he rests on his own laurels. He doesn't, go out and talk about. Of course, everybody knows him through his programs with his son in WWE, but he doesn't go out of his way to talk about it. He concentrates on his deal. What was shown and Mike, we haven't pressed much to talk to him about his son, but we did just naturally last interview. It just happened. The same way we weren't expecting John Cena Sr. to talk about Vince. He suddenly wanted to and talked about Vince with us. It was all very organic. So you can see that I think it's pretty clear that they love each other. Whatever friction happened over the years, they've kept it private. Are you that surprised? They're classy people, right? They don't air their laundry, and it sounds like it's a work in progress. Like it may always be a work in progress, but I don't think that things are bad between them. That's just my gut read. A lot of it's business.
It's a great point, Jimmy. I got to tell you, no matter what John Cena Sr. might have done for them growing up, maybe not being the most passionate father. And we know a lot about those non-passionate fathers, right? Like John McEnroe's father, right? trying to
Right.
drive their children to the level. And, you know, hey, let's keep it in the wrestling realm. Fritz von Erich,
Right.
right?
Right.
Fritz von Erich
Right.
driving his kids.
Hey, Mike, one of the most talented quarterbacks I ever saw was a kid named Marinovich. You remember his dad?
I do, yes.
Like, wow. How could you ever meet up to those expectations? You know, he would have had to been Ken Stabler times 10 to do that.
No, you're right.
So
You're right.
it's not an easy thing, man. But you know something though, John Cena persevered, and look what he's become from it. Look, if it certainly drove him to the top of the mountain. It's not like he had to stop for gas at the bottom and never got up to the top.
You know,
You know?
you know, guys, this is kind of a melancholy show for us, right? Because these will be our last 2 shows out of the great indie music studios. But don't worry, we will be at another studio next week where we will have our regular show on Thursday. And then Jimmy is live in studio on Thursday. And then Friday and Saturday, we've got Chuck Palumbo on Friday. And we have Jerry Lawler, Andre the Giant, and Eric Sims back to back on Saturday. Jerry the King Lawler, guys. It's going to be huge. Not to stick on the Cena thing. I got 2 more things to cover with you on that, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Another thing I thought about was, you know, we know what John has done for Make-A-Wish and those children. And that was the other thing I was thinking, because when we're talking about this show, remember the few times I would say to you, especially during COVID, hey, I got this email from someone, and they said, thank you for making me laugh. I felt like these were my last days. You guys are kind of making me stick around. And I said, dude, it doesn't really matter how many people watch us. If you made a difference in someone's life, that's all that makes a difference. And then yesterday I thought to myself, I'm a little bit envious of John Cena, because how great must it feel, especially for a child, in their last days to meet their hero and spend time with their hero in any kind of condition. And John Cena having the ability to change someone's life like that, I'm a bit envious.
What John does is almost indescribable generosity and responsibility. There are very few people like John Cena. I mean, the time that he takes to take care of those who are very, very unfortunate, his contributions to humanity compared to the average person walking down the street are immeasurable. It's really about, can we just pick on his gimmick? I mean, I hate to be the Pharaoh and do that, but I mean, my God, there is nothing bad you can say about John Cena. He's just a really good guy. I wouldn't be envious of him, Mike. Not everybody gets to be one of the 5 most famous professional wrestlers in the world. Everybody should be proud of who they are, work themselves to be better every day, the way John Cena obviously does.
It's great way to say it. One last thing on Cena.
Yeah.
So I'm in Florida, and, you know, me, my wife, and my daughter and her husband, we spent a couple of days in Florida together in the Keys. But it was early morning, and my daughter was wearing a Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect shirt. And I'm like, hey, where'd you get that? You know, I was busting her balls. Anyway,
Nice.
Stern asked Cena about Vince McMahon. And John Cena, I mean, I'm going to paraphrase here because I don't have it exactly it is, but John Cena says, I love that man. I'm going to stand by that man. I'm going to tell him I'm going to stand through whatever he's got to get through. He goes, I have a moral fiber, and hopefully what's being said isn't true. Because then you have to second guess yourself, right? Because you don't want to break your morals. But as The Rock did too, and as Brock Lesnar did, they're standing by the man that made them. They're standing by their friend, and they're standing by their father figure. And for someone like John Cena, The Rock, Brock Lesnar, they got millions of dollars. Doesn't really matter what everybody thinks. But I got to tell you, it takes some balls, especially at that level, to make a stand for what you believe in.
Well, here's the deal, dude, and it takes some balls from every level, because since when did allegations become convictions? Since when? That's what I want to know. Because some of the things that I've seen written about us for having the nerve to give both sides to a story are a joke to me. Do you have any clue what you're talking about out there? Our job is to interview and get the full opinions of people. Allegations, in the end, are not convictions. Let me know when there's a conviction. So as far as The Rock and John Cena and everybody else who's got the balls, we got the balls too. Just in case you're curious as to where we stand on everything, okay? My personal opinion of Vince doesn't mean a thing here. I'm interested in convictions. Allegations is taught in the good book as gossip, okay? So when you write into our pages and you start calling us all sorts of names because of our having the nerve to interview two sides with their allegations and then tell us nothing about convictions and then decide who we are as people, you are guilty of being a troll. Period. All right? I don't get on the chat. I don't get on all that stuff because I'm not a computer dude. I'm a show dude. Go ahead, Mike. I'm getting annoyed. I don't know what happened there, but I'm kind of ticked off. Go ahead.
Well, that's not what I wanted to do, and I know you didn't want to talk about it, okay? But I feel that I have to bring it up to you because we did a show last Sunday, Benny, myself, Joe, and ESO, in response to Lee Cole, who quickly has come in our doghouse, right?
Woof, woof.
Lee,
Go ahead.
right? We took him for who he was. We gave him a platform to speak. And he started a wrestling channel coming off the first two interviews we did with it. It didn't do well. He ventured into the mob part of YouTube. That channel did very well. And then, and me and Lee would keep contact, right? I didn't dislike Lee. I don't want to put that out there. I didn't dislike him. But you know as well as I do, Jimmy, and I'm going to make the statement now because now it doesn't matter to me. And you can confirm this. Jimmy and I speak for real, right? I don't tell everybody what I'm thinking. But now I'll tell you what I told Jimmy about Lee Cole even back then. I said Lee Cole was a scrupulous... What did I call him, Jimmy?
Is it Nefarious?
What did I say?
I think Nefarious, like Dr.
Yeah.
Smith from Lost in Space.
Exactly.
Oh, William! Oh, dear.
I liked Lee from what I knew him from, but I know the person. And let's be honest, okay? Lee is a convicted felon, okay? So he could play the face on YouTube now and go, because that's the game you play. If you attack your problems, people feel they can back off it because you've announced your problems. So it's like, hey guys out there, thanks for supporting the channel. I'm a convicted felon. I know that. I tell the truth about myself. I've had my problems. I'm just trying to be better. I'm 62 years old. But the reality is you're a felon, okay? You went to jail because I don't know what you did. I don't know if you sold drugs. I don't know if you stole. I don't know if you raped someone. I have no idea. I don't know. All I know is you're a convicted felon, which means that you can't vote in this country, and it also means that you are not trustworthy, okay? I'm just trying to find a respectful word. You're not trustworthy. You're not to be believed. And, Jimmy was very upset, and Jimmy, you're taking it from here. Because I've had personal conversations. Jimmy felt betrayed by Lee Cole. Jimmy, go ahead.
Yeah, well, look, I really don't want to give him too much time of day because basically, here's the deal. Our job is to interview people, okay? When we first brought Lee Cole on, I had never even heard of him. I had no idea what the deal was, and I thought the interviews were good, and we gave him a platform to tell his side of what he felt happened with his brother. That's fine, okay? As time goes on, he has this mob channel, and good for him. I don't even know anything about it, but apparently he did good with it. That's cool. That's fine. Whatever. You know, I know that he tried the wrestling thing, and it didn't work out. And now recently with the Vince McMahon thing, he sees an opening, and he's playing it. Well, Mazel tov. Congratulations. You know, that's all fine. But the betrayal part comes in when we gave you a forum, and then we gave Gerard a forum, and we gave you the option to be able to talk to Gerard and challenge him. And I made the mistake of thinking that you could do something like that. I figured you were a good dude. You know, I figured you could do that. But okay, you didn't want to do that. That's fine. But you can't start calling us names in the after fact, and now our show is shit to you, and we suck, and all this other stuff. When baby, we helped you get to where you are. And that's not being fucking inaccurate. Cut the crap, bro. Cut it out. Did you refer to me as a boy? That's... What? I would refer to you as a boy, but I'd be insulting boys, okay? Are you happy? You got your soundbite. Choke on it. What's your deal, bro? What the fuck, man? I don't get that at all. Now, Mike, I don't know if he's ever going to be willing to talk to you again, like on the air, or if you would even entertain that, but I will tell you, just coming from me, I have no intention of ever speaking to Lee Cole again. Your 5 minutes of fame in my mind are over, dude.
Well, Jimmy,
and when this Vince McMahon thing blows away, you're going to dissipate like a fart too. So it is what it is.
That's the reality of it. If Vince McMahon dies, or Vince McMahon goes to jail, or nothing happens to Vince McMahon, sooner or later, Lee, you're going to have to talk about something else. Yeah, I mean, the guy has the balls to go on and talk about Vince McMahon killed Chris Benoit. If you're going to talk about liars and cheats, you're just throwing shit out there, and you're just hoping.
Absolute garbage, and that's what makes me laugh even more about these trolls who you know are sent from Never Neverland to come talk shit. It's like, this is what you're backing? Are you serious? And I gotta correct in memory of my late great pop, an amazing accountant for the New York Knicks. I gotta correct something. We have not been on YouTube or doing this for 10 years, you nitwit. We've been doing this for 4 years on you. So get the fucking math right.
Listen.
The fuck? 10 years.
Babe Ruth wrote that Lee Cole said, I was as bad as a child molester. Me, specifically. Right?
Well, you know, I get angry every time he thinks for some reason you're in support of pedophilia. Where the fuck did you get that one from?
Well,
where does that get...
He also thinks that the last interview, he outgunned us and shut us down. And I'm thinking to myself, like, he wrote me. So all his fans out there are watching. He wrote me. And he's like, I want to debate you. Debate me about what? I'm not in support of pedophilia. But let's be realistic.
Yeah, what the hell?
Your brother was 18 years old. He got his feet touched, and he ran to a van. And then he tried to make money from it. You really want to tell how I feel about it?
This is what we've been told. This is all we've been told. How am I supposed to go buy a foot rub and a fucking nap in a van? How? Details, consequences, schmonsequences, as long as I'm rich.
And then he adds to his channel recently, because on Sunday we said, are you thou, you're not your brother's keeper? So he puts on, this channel is in dedication to my son, Tom. Here's what I'll tell you, Jimmy, and I'm willing to bet it, right? Miss Messina, his daughter, sat on that couch right over there. She didn't have one fucking good word to say about her own brother. You were here, I was here. She had not one word to say about, good word to say about Lee Cole. At all. That's his own sister. So I'm willing to bet Tom Cole didn't have a good word to say about Lee Cole. Lee Cole is what you call a fucking chicken hawk. See it, attack it, steal it. Any which way you can do it, do it. And the sheep that follow him, it's amazing. It's amazing the sheep that will follow a 62-year-old felon and hang on his every word like it's the truth.
To each his own. It's more like the Pied Piper of McMahon, and off the dock we go!
Listen, what's going to happen if Vince McMahon gets proven innocent? What's going to happen to all of this?
Well, you know what's going to happen. First of all, can I be the soundtrack for all those people when it possibly happens?
And then the guy talks about how he knows what's going on. He called me one day. He's like, I want to give you some breaking news. I'm like, what? The government came to my house. They subpoenaed me for the Vince McMahon case. And I just laughed at myself. I said, oh, man, that's cool. But in my head, you know what I said? Bullshit. Liar.
Bullshit.
Another liar. And then he's like,
What?
I'm not scared of Monte the Pharaoh. Sammy the Bull threatened me and he didn't scare me. Because you know what? Sammy the Bull is making millions of dollars. He's not going to beat up or kill Lee Cole. It's like, Lee, you're sitting there filming the guy and bugging him. Because you know what? You're a loser. Let's just call it you're a loser. And you're looking for anybody to love you.
Man, I would never bother Sammy the Bull, man. Where's your respect? What the hell?
Oh, no, but Lee's tough. Oh, I'm not scared of Sammy the Bull. I'm not scared of anybody. It's like, what is wrong with you, man?
That's just silly talk. Why are we entertaining silly talk, man? That's just silly talk. I'm not scared of Sammy the Bull.
You know what, dude?
That's silly.
You didn't have a chance to come on Sunday, and I really wanted to know what you thought about it. That's all.
Right. Well, I think he sucks. I think he sucks, and I think I'm done with him. I don't know. I'm not going to pay attention to what he's doing. He don't own any spaces in my mind. You know, if we own one and it's on him, enjoy. I hope we torture you internally.
Listen,
forever.
I agree with you. He doesn't hold space in my mind either. I just thought to myself, like, Jimmy, I got to hear Jimmy's thoughts because we haven't really talked since Monday. You know what I mean?
Mike, here's the reality, though, in the business, not to, he's opening up the curtain for everybody to see. Here he goes. Come on, how many of these guys have we run into? Seriously.
Let me ask you, the amount of frauds that, since we've been doing this, percentage of frauds against real people, what do you think?
Percentage? Oh, man. Oh, boy, Mike, that's rough. How about 2377 in the negative? How's that sound? 23% are actually pretty cool, and the rest all are just manipulating and whatever. Is that too pessimistic?
No, I don't think so at all. Everybody brags how great they are and blah 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 blah. Dude, you and me have gone through it. It's just. It's
not just the famous ones that actually would have the nerve to do that anyway. I mean, some of them, sure, okay, I get it. Dude, it's like the nobodies. It's like the absolute nobodies. When I get called a nobody, of course I'm a nobody. I'm also a somebody. Think about that for a while. No, but it's just we've seen it though. I mean, it's just like these guys do absolutely nothing and they think they're hot. Look at Lee. Lee right now thinks he's hot shit. He's not even a cold dump on Tuesday.
No, you're right, and that's a good line, by the way. Cold dump on Tuesday.
No, now I got to go to the bathroom.
You're right, and you know what, dude? We've met them all. We have.
We have.
I got to tell you.
You know what,
though? In the last 2 years, though, Jimmy, it's been a lot worse. I never, when we first started, we messed around with some people, but we've met some real dirtbags out there, boy.
Right. Well, you know what, too, and our haters won't like this, but look, we've grown over the years. The first channel had about 25,000 subscribers. The second channel, and this is all in a 4-year period, by the way, not a freaking decade. In a 4-year period, the second channel is now at 16,000. And, to be able to come back from being cancel cultured and to do what we've done, of course we ran across bigger and more annoying obstacles. Can I call these people obstacles? Is that fair? You know,
That's fair.
so we'd run into, the bigger we got and the bigger fish we came across and the bigger sponsorship and everything that got bigger with us, and not bad for two schleps from Long Island, by the way, not bad at all, who
that's the
had
whole
no
thing.
previous
And
resume
that's,
to fall back on.
I gave a lot of props to Lee last week, the other Lee from Perch on the Top Rope, because it's deserved, right? The guy has no distribution. It's one man in a room. It's a lot to say. Like, I think to myself, that's impressive.
Right.
But, I got to give us some props. You're right. Two older guys who just had some fun. And you know what? We've done a pretty good job. And obviously with the support of our family that has supported us through thick and thin. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah. Absolutely. Boy,
let's not forget all the New York cable people that watch us every week, too. Right.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to tell you guys something. We don't share everything, but I'm going to tell a quick story, and then we're going to go to commercial break.
We ain't.
There was a guy who watched the show on cable. I forgot his name, and he contacted Jimmy because I guess he was an older gentleman, so he didn't really know how to use a computer. Blah blah blah. But he contacted Jimmy, and Jimmy actually hand delivered a T-shirt to the guy. Went out of his way, drove to the dude's house, and hand-delivered a T-shirt. That's the respect Jimmy has for the people that respect the show. And I mean, it sounds whatever, but I thought that's pretty impressive. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was great. I remember that couple too. They used to call all the time. What time are you on? They were always trying to figure out what cable channel we were on, because I think we're on three different times during the week. I think it was Vito and Rosemary. Oh my God, was that their names? That's like years ago, dude. Yeah, they were really sweet people. But it was also nice, and we're going to be doing the convention again. What's great about the conventions is getting to meet people and stuff like that. One of my fondest memories of the conventions was when we had the late great, Animal on. And the next day was the convention, and he didn't wear makeup during our interview. I get this tap on my shoulder the next day at the convention. It's Animal in full makeup. He's like, I should have worn this for the show. I had a great time. He didn't have to come and talk to us. You know what I mean? But he did. He was a nice guy.
We've met some good guys. I would like to thank the band that sings the theme song for Monte the Pharaoh and Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs, make up the band Wisteria Hall. Wisteria Hall sings such great songs as In My Dreams, This Life, Not Far Behind. It's a long time since I've heard that one. You can find their music on the Wisteria Hall YouTube page. Hear them on Spotify, Apple Music, and Reverb Nation. If you didn't know it, you are watching Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte the Pharaoh. Catch Monte the Pharaoh on the Monte the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Monte the Pharaoh Facebook Live page. Here's on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monte the Pharaoh, Channel 15, every Tuesday at 9:30 p.m. and Saturday at 11:30 a.m. and Tuesdays on Channel 20 at 7 p.m. We'll be right back where we're going to discuss the WWE Hall of Fame. Sir? Manscaped? Have you tried the new equipment that's been sent?
I'm afraid because it says Weed Whacker. I'm scared.
Maven, Manscaped, what are you thinking about Manscaped, dude?
Love it.
What do you use it for?
Necessity. What don't I use it for? Put it this way. The only hair I have on my entire body is these eyebrows.
Yeah.
That you see. These caterpillars racing to the middle of my nose. That's it.
That is it.
That's all I have. And that's all I want.
That's the
Manscaped is a must.
We were talking before the show. There's nothing worse than just hair.
Yeah.
Right? Hair on a woman, hair on a man. It's just bad.
Absolutely. And it's the one thing that the older I get, it starts growing more in unwanted areas.
Absolutely.
I hate it.
I'm going to ask you a question.
Uh-oh.
Just going to go out there.
Oh, boy.
Go for it.
You're doing a deed.
Yes.
Again, I don't want you to have to admit this because as men, we try not to admit this, but if you're going to go do the deed on a woman, would you rather have her be hairless or a little hair, racing stripe, or full retro bush?
Racing stripe.
Retro bush is out.
Yes, thank you.
Retro bush is out.
Yeah.
I don't mind a small. well manicured landing strip. Every now and then, if it's completely, and I'm talking like baby's ass bald, then I start. Where is that pedophilia line? I don't want to
Wow.
wander into that.
That's
thought
very
of it like
interesting.
that.
I never thought about that. You're a
Wow.
smart dude. Holy shit.
So if the landing strip is clean enough for the plane to go in smoothly, you're cool with that.
If the landing strip has, like I said, well manicured,
Yeah,
you can see both sides. It's not
Like blinking lights on both sides of that
I
landing?
just don't. I don't want. I don't want the shrubbery going off into unwanted areas on that as well.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Oh, look
but-
what you found. Ooh.
I got to be all honest though. Hey, the older I get though, I don't think I can be as
I found it! I found
have
it!
you ever gone down there and like just like she slowly brings down the underwear? Then
What is
retro? Just,
Absolutely.
You're like, whoa!
Wow,
Yeah,
like,
I'm
a, like
46,
it
of
pops
course.
out?
Do you like walk out or what do you do?
No, I muster through. I muster up the courage to get
He's a
through.
trooper. He's a trooper. Gotta give him an A.
Not all heroes wear capes.
Yeah,
There you
no,
go.
I hear you.
There you
Listen,
go.
I couldn't
Super
say.
Bush.
I couldn't say. Well, if you have the same beliefs as Maven does, Manscaped could help you.
Absolutely.
The weed whacker.
Absolutely.
What are you thinking?
I'm thinking that I may have to, like, go in a room, close the door, and hang out with the weed whacker for a little while.
Yeah, I think you're a retro guy, aren't you?
I like 70s adult films, if that's what you're getting at.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
but
only
with that,
Ron
we're going to take a
Jeremy,
quick
Batman.
commercial break, and we'll be
Anyway.
back with this wrestling icon, Maven.
We will see you in a drop kick second.
Drop kick. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monte The Pharaoh. Jimmy, it's our second to last show in this studio, and I'm thinking when I was just watching that commercial, I'm like, man, Jimmy's going to be right back here next week finally after 6 months. This is going to be great. And then I thought to myself, wow, it's going to be in a different studio. How's that going to feel?
Okay, if I can be honest, when the moment actually happens, it's going to feel like it's time to go to work.
Yeah.
You asked.
Hey,
That's what it's
fine.
going to feel like. You know,
That's fine.
It's time to go to work, man. We do what we do. You know.
You know, give me, if you can, this is a very hard question, but what were your top
All right.
3 moments in this studio?
Okay, Bob Backlund doing a handstand after you said that he was basically too old and too lazy to do it, which I thought was fabulous. Because Bob goes over there and gives us a handstand, which was incredible. Okay, let me think. I will say that, okay, Sabu coming in fairly fresh off the death of his wife, and absolutely, basically off camera, his breakdown. It's just, I didn't expect Sabu to be so real. That was very memorable to me, just as far as the person, getting to see the person. And he was very kind, and he was very vulnerable. Remember, we had a group hug, Mike. I don't know if you remember that, but
No, I do. When you brought it up, like, things get blocked, like, scrambled in my brain sometimes, but
yeah.
I remember, you're right, because he got very emotional, and when it ended, it was weird. There wasn't any conversation. You stood up, I stood up, because after the show, we usually take pictures, right? We sit behind, and the 3 of us, or whoever's the guest is, takes pictures of me and Jimmy.
Yeah.
But this is before we took pictures with him. He got off the couch. Me and Jimmy just stood up off the stage. I don't think a word was said, Jimmy. We both met in the middle, the 3 of us.
Yeah,
And
we all.
I think we had like a
we all
2-minute hug,
gravitated.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, it was, I'm getting chills, Mike. I really wasn't expecting this sort of reaction live like this, but, yeah, you know, I mean, like, you know, look, at the end of the day, we're fans too, and Sabu, you know, ECW, I've always loved Sabu, and you hear so many things about him as a person, and usually they're scary and stuff like that, but meanwhile, Sabu was the most realist person I think I've ever met in the wrestling business. He just guard dropped. I trust you guys. I feel comfortable with you guys, and just a moment I'll never forget. That hug was just like, I almost felt like, what is happening here? Nobody's talking, you know, but it was genuine and it felt good. It felt like a reassurance. The hug seemed to be reassuring Sabu that there's a reason I get up every day. I'm freaking Sabu. You know what I'm trying to say? Like
Yeah.
in a strange way, it was a really deep moment. And the other one I have, because you asked for three. It's a little melancholy, but because it was my last show with you before I came to Florida, and Barry, the great, your favorite, the great, great, great Barry Windham was in studio, and of course, Bray had just recently passed away, and we performed, with Bart, we performed Rap is Crap for Barry, and Barry was so ear to ear. Do you remember Barry smiling while we were playing it?
Yeah.
Like he was so ear to ear about that. I know it sounds like a simple little thing, but it really brought joy to him, and you could see it in his face. And I just, that's where we're not your average wrestling show. Those kinds of things we're talking about. When Bob plays along with you after you're like, you goofy old bat, you can't do that. Oh, you think I can't, huh? And he goes over and does a handstand at what age? My God, that was absolutely unbelievable. Sabu being was, and then of course Barry being able to put a smile on Barry's face after such a terrible tragedy, and to do it in the three different ways that I just described, we did do it, makes us not your average program. And I couldn't be more proud of the time you and I have done over at that studio together. We did a lot of good things there, my friend.
I'll second that. I mean, there's more of a connection when someone's in a studio with you, right? They're there. You're even though we're wearing sunglasses, right? I mean, but there's a connection, right? You're connecting with each other. You're looking at each other. You're discussing things. The one thing I've always been humbled about is I always felt, and you said it just before, I feel like the guests, no matter who they are, they let down their guard with us because they trust us not to backstab them or go for cheap heat like that stupid program out there. Sorry, I had to do it.
Well done.
We're just too. Look, in the beginning, I remember we went for like the stupid, like because we were learning, right? So it's like, let's go for the dirt, And then at some point, me and Jimmy are like, what? This isn't really that fun. Big deal. So we find out like the same thing that this guy found out, and this guy found out. I mean, I think about the Tony Atlas Bruiser Brody story, which I didn't want that question. Again, I must have told the story a million times, but every time, the million times Tony was in here, Jimmy would be like, all right, we're going to ask the Brody question. I'm like, no, we're not answering the Brody question. And then finally Jimmy's like, look, man, we got to ask the Brody question. All right, fine.
Right.
And now I'm aggravated because I'm like, and I'm going to see here the same story again. And guess what? I was wrong.
Nope.
I was wrong. And, I mean, that was just an example of, you talked about Sabu. It's funny you brought up the Barry Windham thing, too, because you're right. You moved him that day. He was moved. And I think that's a service to somebody, you know what I mean? Like when you're showing someone that kind of respect and that loyalty, because there is a loyalty, right?
Yeah.
We are fans at heart, but there's a loyalty
Sure.
to our fanship. Is fanship a word? But there's a loyalty,
Sure.
And, not to talk about another knucklehead, but like the Scampoli kid. By making fun of Kevin Nash's child, it's cheap heat.
Right.
It's cheap heat.
Right. Yeah, come on.
There's a legitimate conversation, Jimmy, where we'll discuss stuff and we're mad and maybe Kevin Nash or we talk about Bully Ray or Tommy Dreamer.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But
right.
There comes a point where you got to be a decent human being, right? It's
right.
We talk about Bully Ray, about his attitude, what he thinks about himself. But you don't make fun of someone's dead child. It makes no sense.
Yeah, we never demeaned Bully Ray to the point where like we're shaming him for anything. Give me a break. We could disagree with his opinion on stuff. That's fine. You know, comparing Tommy Dreamer to a can of dried up paint is not making fun of someone's deceased child, for God's sakes. There is a line.
But he
You
is
know,
a terrible wrestler.
Awful. Oh my God, I can't. I
Dude,
mean,
does
it
he
is like
get
dried.
does he get in the Hall of Fame?
Do I think one day he may? Yeah, he may. I mean, if we're segueing into, if you know what, he shouldn't. But could I see somebody putting him in? Are we going to talk about the Hall of Fame? Because we might as well just segue right now.
That's what we're
You
doing.
know what I'm saying?
So
Well, then drive the
2024
bus.
Hall of Fame. Bull Nakano,
Drive the bus.
the second guest.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Listen, and I don't normally do this, but lend me your ear, Michael Monte, and everybody out there. All right. This one is bothering me. Okay. This hits a little too close to home. All right. 5 years ago, Wahoo McDaniel was put into the Hall of Fame, and he was put in through the back door. The family wasn't called to be at a ceremony. No one was notified from the family, and in from the back door came Wahoo McDaniel. Okay, what the fudge is that? All right. Now that I got that out of the way, because I have to say that, okay, that eats at me. But Mike, you know that eats at me, stuff like that. Okay, to be fair. Bull Nakano. Can I ask you a question, Mike? Give me your personal memories of Bull Nakano and your experiences watching Bull Nakano growing up and through your wrestling fanship. What do you
Okay,
got?
next. I'm done. I don't know.
There you go. All right. There you go. Okay. Demolition, not in the Hall. God, do I really even have to go there with all of this? We already know all the people who are not in the Hall of Fame, and this is who you put. Mike, is Bull Nakano getting a ceremony? Is she going to be on the stage? I mean, they're going to be a presentation in front of like a big crowd and stuff, like they usually do for these auditions. Is she getting that?
I guess so, yeah. Same as everybody else.
Oh,
right?
and I want to know why. I want to know why, because this is not even a sliver on Wahoo McDaniel's little toe. All right? Yeah, I know. I'm making this personal. That is absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. Triple H, I'm asking you to contact the McDaniel family and do this thing right, because you didn't do it right. All right? That's how I feel about that. I had to get that out of the way. And by the way, boy, I might get a tomahawk thrown at me when I go inside, because this is just something
I will
feel.
say this. We argued about Stacy Keibler last year.
Yeah,
That, to me,
sure.
made sense. This
A lot
makes no sense.
A lot more than this.
This makes no sense.
A lot more than this. A lot more than this, and I totally agree with you. Now Stacy Keibler is a Hall of Famer. Great job, guys.
Leading
you see what that did to me?
Is longtime professional wrestling icon Paul Heyman, the advocate, the manager. Thoughts on the great Paul Heyman finally, I think, accepting the nod to the Hall of Fame? I think he's turned it down a couple of times.
Right. Well, if anybody was ever more deserving than him, I mean, my God. I know that I'll probably get a lot of pushback on this, and I would understand why. There's been a lot of great, great, great managers, but in my mind, outside of maybe Bobby Heenan, I don't think anybody's as great as Paul Heyman has fulfilled the managerial role. And his body of work cannot be disputed when it comes to the all-time greatest manager, because it's been so long he's been doing this. He has had decades at doing this now. He is, as far as body of work goes, back of the baseball card, statistically, he's the greatest, longest-serving manager in the history of professional wrestling. It is what it is.
You know what's funny, Jimmy? If you would have asked me when I was growing up, or even was in the Army, the guy with the telephone was going to be the greatest manager of all time, I would have laughed in your face. And you know what? He is the greatest manager of all time.
Right.
But let me ask you this.
Agree. Yeah.
We're both very big fans of the great Todd Gordon, the book Todd is God, which is actually at my house right now.
Absolutely. For sure.
And we discussed this, like, about a lot of things, even with the show, about people that we met that all of a sudden we went over. So Todd got Paul, in my opinion, his start. Like, where's the recognition for Todd Gordon in this? Like, you know, I think about Paul Heyman and all the. I'm sure he's got a lot of money. Like, don't you think he should take care of guys like Todd Gordon and Sabu, and maybe some of the other guys whose careers just didn't end up as good as they were?
Well, you can ask the same. Look, we've pondered this, Mike. I really got to ask you. I mean, if we say yes, that he should help all of them, then wouldn't we be like, not, aren't we saying yes that Vince should be helping everybody too? You understand what I'm getting at? Do I think that Paul Heyman should give more credit and maybe push more to help benefit the business careers of people like Sabu and Todd Gordon? Yeah, I think he should. But as far as actually cutting them checks, I don't know what sort of charity we're talking about when we entertain this whole subject. I don't think Paul Heyman owes anybody anything other than his own moral responsibility to help out people like Todd Gordon and Sabu and Shane Douglas and guys like that. He always probably have them in mind and always possibly try to help them get a good booking gig or a good convention gig or whatever he can do that's realistic within his business reach, because after all, he's not the owner of the WWE. I wouldn't expect him to start cutting checks to them now, would you?
I don't necessarily mean cutting them checks, but give them the flowers. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. I mean, honestly, look, I think Todd Gordon should be in the WWE Hall of Fame as a crucial founder of an organization that the network has all the matches and history of, and clearly an organization that left an impact in this business big time. And no, I'm not talking Impact Wrestling. I'm talking ECW. That's where Todd Gordon is to me a first ballot founder in the founder wing when they ever get a damn building. Because there were so many, like, for example, don't you feel that Virgil's role is very much a specialist and should somehow be acknowledged in a Hall of Fame, in a building someplace?
I do.
Well, there you have it, I mean, Todd Gordon is to the founders, like a Bill Watts of his territory or whatever. Todd Gordon was a crucial role in the development and prosperity of ECW, and which led to Paul Heyman, which led to Rob Van Dam becoming a legend, which led to the Dudley Boys becoming legends. If there's no Todd Gordon, then there's no Heyman. Then there's no Todd Gordon and Paul Heyman. Then there's no ECW, yada, yada, yada. Todd Gordon's a Hall of Famer. So, well, I hope, with flowers, maybe he can say a lot of real good things about Todd Gordon during his induction and give him a plug for the Hall of Fame. How about that?
Very good. With that, Jimmy, I'll see you at 9 o'clock when we got the great Sal Carenti in studio. Ready to come back in about literally 30 seconds?
Yes, sir.
I'll see you in a minute.
Later.